Look, it's a big enough deal that AP News has it in a big old. They got a full title card here. Look at that, very cinematic. What's here? What's this video? The full screen doesn't work. It's off center. That's great. Aided last. I really hope this shit lasts. Trump did dual loyalty. Why are you posting Keith Woods? Why we're talking about Israel. Why are you getting the clips from the Nazi accounts? I understand they're just clips of Trump.
Broken promises from many other American presidents, you know that. They kept promising. I never understood it until I got there. There was a lot of pressure put on these presidents. It was put on me too, but I didn't yield to the pressure. But every president for decades said, we're going to do it. The difference is I kept my promise and officially recognized the capital of Israel and moved the American embassy to Jerusalem.
What does Donald have to do with any of this? World leaders are meeting in Egypt to discuss the resolution of the Israel Gaza conflict, which is, again, like, we'll see if it actually holds. I have a feeling that Israel's campaign of brutality will never end, at least not without a disempowerment of the state, but...
Isn't that right, Miriam? Look at Miriam, she's back there. Stand up, Miriam. Stand up. Miriam and Sheldon would come into the office. They'd call me. He'd call me. I think they had more trips to the White House than anybody else I could think of. Look at her sitting there so innocently. She's got $60 billion in the bank. $60 billion. And she,
the Miriam that she's referring to is a multi-billionaire Trump donor, hyper mega lunatic Zionist Israeli American who I believe she was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Trump. She's an absolute psychopath. Also, this is what she looks like. So the Mar-a-Lagoification of the right is kind of like a universal phenomena, So yeah, make of that what you will.
She loves, and I think she's saying no more. And she loves Israel, but she loves it, and they would come in, and her husband was a very aggressive man, but I loved him. He was a very aggressive, very supportive of me. And he'd call up, can I come over and see you? I say, Sheldon, I'm the president of the United States. It doesn't work that way. He'd come in, we would do. But they were very responsible for so much, including getting me thinking about Golan Heights, which is probably one of the greatest things to ever happen to Israel.
She's a psychopath. She's advocated for like the complete annexation of the West Bank. She's one of those like greater Israel hyper-fascists. But she's been a very aggressive advocate for Israel to Trump. Oh, here, take a look at what she actually looks like. It's crazy what evil does to you, man. Yeah, this is what she looks like. Keep in mind, she's worth $40 billion. So we're to a large extent, your life is your choice. But no, it's evil shaping her appearance here.
Miriam, stand up, please. She really is. I mean, she loves this country. She loves this country. Her and her husband are so incredible. We miss him so dearly. But I actually asked her, I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once, I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel. I must say. We love you. Thank you.
That's so endearing for Trump to, like, reflexively bring up the dual loyalty thing. But then, well, is it really dual loyalty if she's actually an Israeli American who advocates relentlessly for Israel? The dual loyalty thing is about Jews in Israel, like the accusation that they're loyal to Israel above America. But in her case, she's actually an Israeli, so it's not really a dual loyalty thing. She's actually a dual citizen. Still pretty funny, though. It's a tough time to be a Trump-supporting neo-Nazi, you know? It's a really, really, really tough time. Oh, good Lord, that microphone. Practicing my standing. Hold on. Did some general coverage of this. I have no interest whatsoever in watching like 4 hours of speeches with Trump at this summit. Yeah. Use that permanent marker.
This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you
And there was never again conflict in the Middle East.
believe it? And it's going to hold up, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to hold up.
Let's get back to Caitlin. He was just wrapping up with some of the things we heard him say time and time again as he's had microphones throughout the day, Caitlin. But again, just the importance, I mentioned the imagery, and then, of course, the substance, which is, we believe, as you said, signing on to this 20-point deal, which even though we don't know what is going to really come next, what's going to take hold, just the idea of all of these people in one room in Sharm el-Sheikh signing on to any document is a very big deal.
Yeah, and this is something that Steve Witkoff, one of the president's top aides, hammered out the details of what those 20 points were going to look like. I mean, we saw draft versions where small things were changed or some points were entirely crossed out as they were working on this. And the president joked before he left here in Israel that, you know, given how late he was, maybe these world leaders would leave and they wouldn't wait on him to sign these documents. He showed up more than 4 hours late, Dana, but obviously they are all still there, including the ones who helped broker the deal at the table, leaders from Qatar, from Egypt, from Turkey, sitting with the president, as they were the ones who helped really get this deal over the line last week when the president came out on Thursday. And
yeah, that's great. Newly freed Palestinian prisoners arrive in West Bank and Gaza.
Today's return of the last living Gaza hostages
I know you're mad
has
about
also
this.
triggered the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees, some who have been held by the Israelis for a long time. Take a look at this. This was
Even there, the language, Israeli hostages versus Palestinian prisoners and detainees. These are hostages, too. Like, these are people who were arrested without trial. You know? They're just being, detainees, I suppose, is more accurate, but...
a dramatic scene as some of them arrived earlier today in Gaza. All right, let's go live right now to CNN's Nada Bashir. She's joining us from Ramallah in the West Bank. What happens to the released prisoners and the detainees now that they're back in Palestinian custody?
Israel said they're not allowed to celebrate their release, which is fucking insane. Yeah.
Nada.
Well, look, Wolf, we were there when the buses arrived in central Ramallah. We saw the prisoners taking off from those buses carried by the Red Cross, meeting with their family members once again. It certainly was an emotional moment for many of those families. It's important to underscore, of course, that many of the 250 Palestinian prisoners, the vast majority, were serving either long-term sentences or life sentences, some even multiple life sentences for serious offences. So this is not something, of course, that many families...
Serious offenses, of course, you know, charges without evidence, like the prosecutorial standards of Israeli military court when it comes to Israelis versus Palestinians is insane. I think their conviction rate for Palestinians is like 99% or some shit. Their conviction rate for Israelis is like 3%. Like, these are people that, like, they will find the Palestinian child, say they were holding a rock, say the rock was a weapon, and say that the weapon was about to be used against an Israeli soldier, accuse them of terrorism, and hold them for 5 life sentences. Like, taking seriously Israeli military tribunal charges against Palestinians, you might as well go over to Auschwitz-Birkenau and read through the list of alleged crimes committed by all of the detainees there and go like, I don't know. It says you were conspiring to devalue Germany's currency. Where were you during World War I? And you're talking to a guy who weighs 73 pounds.
Family members would have been anticipating outside of this ceasefire deal. And of course, in addition to that 250, we also saw more than 1,700 Palestinians from Gaza who were detained over the course of the war, many of them without charge, being returned to the Gaza Strip. And as you mentioned, we saw that dramatic video of these Palestinian Gazan prisoners being returned to the Gaza Strip in those buses, huge crowds surrounding those buses as well. But of course, there are also some, at least 150, who have been deported. These are individuals who are charged with violent crimes. Many of them have been deported to Egypt, it's understood. And of course, this was an important aspect of the ceasefire deal. It is an important part of the agreement that Hamas has long pushed for. There are individuals, of course, that they had pushed forward, including senior.
I mean, 99% is the conviction rate of U.S. federal prosecution. Yeah, but let's not pretend U.S. federal prosecution has the same standards as the Israeli military tribunals, especially when they're only 3% for Israelis. Like, that would be like looking at a conviction rate for black and white people, 99 versus 3%, and being like, well, you know, they're very good at their job.
Political figures who were not released. But again, this is a significant moment here in the occupied West Bank and for the Palestinian community.
With us here is CNN military analyst and retired Air Force Colonel.
Do not look up the Israeli charge rate for rapes. Yeah, the charge rate's actually just that, a charge. Like, you have to pay $10 on the way out.
Cedric
Maybe
Layton.
they pay you.
Wow, what a day.
It certainly is, Pamela.
We're all just trying to absorb how momentous today is. But then there's tomorrow and the next day and the next day. What does Gaza look like in these days ahead?
So right now, Gaza, of course, is basically a pile of rubble. To put it bluntly, Gaza has at least 90% of its structures that are either completely destroyed or damaged. So these places are not habitable. They're not livable. And one of the key issues that's going to happen, Pamela, is they're going to have to get the aid in there very quickly. There is aid that's moving in there right now, but the aid is going to have to come in really quickly in order to prevent not only starvation, but also possible deaths from frost as the winter comes in, and that's going to be a critical thing for this area. They have to move quickly. They're trying to do that. All the UN and other aid groups are definitely poised to do this, but there's nothing like speed for something like this. And then when it comes to the security situation, you're looking at an area where there already is a contested area between Hamas policemen and various clans within Gaza. Some of those clans have helped the Israelis, and there's a lot of fighting going on right now there. So this is going to be a very tenuous situation.
Yeah, I wasn't there a reporter who actually brought this up to Trump, and Trump was pretty blasé about it. Like, the immediately, of course, there are people who want to restart the fighting, and they're like, well, Hamas is killing collaborators, which, like, yeah, no shit. Which maybe they are or aren't, but like, if they are, no shit. And Trump responded with like, yeah, well, they were going to do that. You know what I mean?
Some people have likened it a bit to Mogadishu, back in the 90s. That is something that could happen, but the international community has to work very hard to prevent that from happening. This is a great day, but there's a lot to come for the future.
So are you concerned a civil war will break out in Gaza?
Oh, I think it's very possible because you've got a lot of clans that are part of the fabric of Gaza. So these are families that have lived there for centuries, and they have their own vested interests. You have political groups like Hamas. You also have Palestinian Islamic Jihad and other groups. So there is a chance that these groups could go after each other. So this is why a peacekeeping force is going to be absolutely critical. So what is happening now at Sharm el-Sheikh, where President Trump is at the moment, that is going to really, in essence, put things out for the future, and hopefully they'll develop a plan to move a peacekeeping force in. But this is going to be a very dangerous area, and if these clans and Hamas...
I know this is a loaded question, but do you think a 1 or 2 state solution is best, buddy? Like right now, like the golden path forward seems to be one where the Palestinian people are not completely eradicated. I have no idea what the most effective. Look, morally speaking, we all know that justice is never going to be done here, okay? I maintain that the most moral thing that could possibly happen, that's within even the realm of possibility, I mean, like even remotely possible, would be a combined UN task force basically occupying Israel, disarming it, taking apart their nuclear weapons, bringing every single person even remotely close to leadership in that country to trial at The Hague, and just occupying it basically indefinitely. I don't care how much money it costs, you know? We poured plenty of money into occupying Japan and occupying Germany after World War II. We know what we need to do here. We know what's right. And whether or not it becomes a 1 state or a 2 state, well, their 2 state has problem, 1 state has problems. I don't like it. I'm not going to... There's like an infinite amount of suffering in every direction, but one in which the Israeli state is completely neutralized and disarmed is without a doubt the best path forward. But that's not going to happen. So in a world where Israel continues to exist and where the entire Western world apparently continues to offer uncritical fealty to the state of Israel for largely financial reasons, what is the best path forward? 1 state or 2 state? I don't really know. I need to think about it. I don't know. Like, there are good and bad versions of both. I guess there are more and less bad versions of both. I don't know if there's a good version of anything here.
Start shooting at each other in...
Do you think a Dem president would at least send Netanyahu and Gallant to The Hague? Fuck no, they wouldn't. Jesus. At this point, I feel like it'd be more likely that Trump would, just because he thinks it would get him closer to going to heaven. No, yeah, Biden would nuke The Hague before letting them try Netanyahu. Absolutely the fuck not.
Greater volumes. They're doing that now to some extent, but if that happens on a mass scale, that is going to be a very dangerous place, and it's going to be really hard to insert a peacekeeping force into something like that.
So then what do you think about what the Egyptian foreign minister just said not long ago, calling for U.S. troops to be stationed inside Gaza? Do you see a scenario where that could actually happen?
It's certainly possible, but it's very much against what President Trump has said in his analysis of the situation. And, basically what President Trump has tried to do with the Civil Military Coordination Center that they've developed, those 200 troops, the U.S. troops that are in Israel or about to be in Israel, those are supposed to be basically a command center for the peacekeeping effort in Gaza. They are not supposed to be troops on the ground. Really, 200 is not a sufficient number. You would need tens of thousands of troops, given the population of Gaza and the strength of Hamas, even in its decimated state. It would be very difficult to insert a force in there if it's not of sufficient strength. So I think the Egyptian foreign minister's desire, I can understand why he would say it, but I think it's unrealistic. The Arab states are going to have to step up to make this happen. Otherwise, I don't see a lasting peace scenario.
That's probably not terrible. I know, like, I don't trust Egypt for shit, but I feel like Egyptian soldiers stationed in Gaza would be more disposed towards supporting and defending the Palestinian people than American soldiers would. Why do they play tug of war with the handshake? Trump always shakes hands like that. It's a power move. He's talked about it for decades, where you do a handshake and then you like yank back to try to throw them off. It's one of these like gay 1980s power suit businessman tactics that he's been touting for half of a century,
Possible for Gaza unless there's something like an international force, but an Arab-based force that does the kinds of things that need to be done to keep those sides apart and to allow the population of Gaza to get the aid that they need.
Yeah, hopefully they get the aid that they need soon. 2 million people, around that number.
Yes.
I think I'd prefer U.S. soldiers. What if we sent Turkish soldiers who would then probably promptly invade Israel? I think the popularity of Israel and Turkey is like 1% or something. Like the average Turk is more. I feel like if you polled 1,000 Turkish people and 1,000 Palestinians, the Turkish people would still be more anti-Israeli.
Very much in need. Colonel Cedric Layton, thank you.
Here, there's a bunch of shit here. It's a big day.
We are covering a historic moment here in Israel because for the first time in 2 years, over 2 years, 738 days, Hamas holds no living hostages in its captivity for the first time. We are still waiting word on when the bodies of the deceased hostages that were still in Hamas's captivity and hands will be handed over to their families and to their loved ones here in Israel, something that they have stressed is just as important as bringing home the live hostages. But we have confirmed all 20 live hostages have now been handed over to the Israeli Defense Forces, and marking a pivotal moment in a ceasefire that the president confirmed had been brokered last Thursday. And now here we are on Monday morning, and we have seen these 20 live hostages.
Keep in mind that a version of this deal that was even more favorable had been accepted by Hamas under Biden's presidency last year, and Biden's team didn't even consider it.
Handed over and returned to Israeli soil. We're waiting for all of that to be finalized as we are seeing what their condition is and what this looks like. CNN's Clarissa Ward is in Hostages Square, where, Clarissa, I know every time hostages had been released by Hamas and handed over to the Red Cross and then eventually to the IDF, you had been hearing cheers there in Hostages Square from all the people who've been gathered for hours and waiting for this moment.
That's right, Caitlin. Some of them have been here since 4 and 5 in the morning. And as you mentioned, every single time news comes, the hostages have been handed over to the International Red Cross. The hostages have been handed over.
Hostages Square, yeah.
Now to the IDF. The hostages are now back in Israel. You hear these just sort of jubilant cheers erupting throughout the crowd. This is a moment that everybody here in this country has been waiting for some 737 days. Many of the people who are here today have been coming to this square every single week to demand an end to the keeping of these hostages. This was a moment that they have been dreaming of. They didn't know when it was going to finally happen, and now they are watching it play out in real time. They are witnessing history. And there were sort of some surreal moments as well, Caitlin, like when Hamas gave phones to some of the hostages before they were handed over to the Red Cross to video call their loved ones. And you saw these images and videos of family members talking because they have poured their entire beings into campaigning around
I am from Israel, and this is my dance move.
Through the International Red Cross to Israel. Yeah, it's really amazing what's going on. It's such a difference, and you know, it's interesting because you know.
Of October 7th, as we think about what just a devastating day that was and where we are now.
Why? What happened?
We spoke with some of the families.
And that had blacked out tinted windows pull up to that tent, and presumably the newly freed Israeli hostages, some of them would have boarded that helicopter. If we see that helicopter take off shortly, I think that will serve as confirmation that those hostages, at least the first few of them, are on their way to Israeli hospitals.
Hostage families reunited as Trump is cheered in Israeli parliament.
We're looking at live coverage and live pictures from Ben Gurion Airport outside Tel Aviv. That, of course, is Air Force One.
Sorry, it's just all very depressing. I still don't know what the future looks like for Palestinian people. I have no idea. I feel like the conflict has to continue in large part, not only because the sort of thirst for death and nationalism has not been quenched in Israel. Like, they still want greater Israel. There's still a significant number of Israelis and political figures in Israel who want greater Israel, you know. Netanyahu still wants to hold on to power and not go to jail. They all still, you know, a ton of them want to eradicate the Palestinians. So I don't know what the future looks like here. It's just very depressing.
President Trump is expected to arrive there very shortly. You can hear the gavel right there. This after the U.S. brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The president called it the, quote, historic dawn of
I think Western populations would simply not accept Israel going back to war. I disagree. Also, it wouldn't be framed that way. Every single one of these journalists would get a note card saying, you are going to say this. And the thing they would say is, Hamas has resurged. It'd be like the beginning of the fucking 9th Star Wars movie. Somehow Hamas returned. They have marshaled a force 100,000 strong, and trust me, we don't have any photos or videos of it, but they're like basically about to destroy Tel Aviv. So yeah, we got to do this shit again or whatever. IDF, fuckboys are still going to be taking sniper shots from across the border. None of this shit's going to change. You can't, there's no way to de-Hitlerize a Hitler country when they get to keep everything. Israel hasn't been, in any way weakened or punished. They've been rewarded, if anything. They got to be evil, and they're still being protected by America.
New Middle East. Let's listen to a brief moment of that speech.
In an unprecedented achievement, virtually the entire region has endorsed the plan that Gaza will be immediately demilitarized, that Hamas will be disarmed, and Israel's security will no longer be threatened in any way, shape, or form.
All right, we have pictures now of where President Trump is headed. That's Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. He will attend a summit which is ostensibly on the future of Gaza with the leaders of 20 other countries there.
But just a look at the signage that they have up as they are going to be arriving. Peace in the Middle East. I mean, this is setting up to be, they are setting a high bar for what they want to accomplish on a very big day. And you can see a podium there, lots to come here. And as we await that, we are witnessing, finally, the emotional, just look at this, guys, emotional reunions taking place between those freed hostages and their loved ones that they haven't seen in more than 2 years, finally coming face to face at a military base in southern Israel.
Of course, you would never, ever have this coverage for any one of the thousands of Palestinians who have been held, in some cases for decades, as they're reunited with their families, if their families are still alive, which is frankly not that likely, all things considered. Look, I have no hate in my heart towards any of the hostages. Obviously shit sucks for them. I wouldn't want to be held by Hamas for 2 years. That's not the issue here. It's just, again, the ridiculous, insane, disgusting level of inconsistency in the level of humanization that we engage in. Did you all see that Obama tweet where he was like, Israeli families and the people of Gaza? You see that? At every level, the Zionist dehumanization is baked into their language.
Reporting from at the hospitals here, ferrying those hostages back and forth. They were able to have initial medical checks, reunite with some of their loved ones, and then go on to hospitals for further evaluations where more of their family members could be. And you've just seen those beautiful moments playing out.
No disrespect, but why is Paraguay at the summit? Well, there's more than just a pair of guys. There's like dozens of people there.
Including people who were kidnapped together into Gaza and finally being reunited in this moment. And so we've seen that play out before in previous hostage releases, but now seeing it play out this time, obviously, it just hits really close to home for so many people here as they're breathing a sigh of relief here. And on the political front, the president just spoke about this, getting all these hostages home as he was addressing the Israeli parliament here. And now he is headed for the airport. We're waiting for him to board Air Force One before he heads to Egypt to go to Sharm el-Sheikh. We have full coverage across the region as we are watching those moments. And I want to go to CNN's Jeremy Diamond. And obviously, Jeremy, we just talked about those emotional moments, and you're exactly
who were released in the previous ceasefire and hostage release.
Big picture thoughts. So this is the day for real joy that those who has decided he will not take up.
There's Netanyahu. His name got booed in Hostage Square, which makes sense.
To Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Oh. Okay. To Prime Minister.
Okay.
Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay, let me just finish my thought. I was in the trenches, guys. Let me just finish my thought. I was in the trenches with the Prime Minister. Believe me, he was a very important part here.
It's going really well.
The Prime Minister and his staff, Ron Dermer included, have both. Okay, okay. Have both sacrificed so much for this country and devoted their lives to the service of Israel.
Who the fuck is this asshole? This is Witkoff, our special envoy to Israel and the world's most dedicated Zionist. You know, the whole 9 yards. They're God's chosen people. We must serve to ensure the creation of an Israeli state to fulfill the Christian prophecy of rapture. You know, says and does like weirdo Zionist shit. You know, like, remember that one, I forget who it was. Was it that State Department envoy that you know, one of those women who was doing an interview where she was saying like she wished she was born Jewish or something? Like, she was talking up the Jewish people, you know, which is fine, whatever. And then she was like, "Oh, I wish I was Jewish," or some weird shit like that. State Department spokeswoman, yeah. When you're two in the sauce, you know?
Their dedication to the history and
What's up with Ivanka? Ivanka married, how am I blanking his name? Come on, he's the billionaire, I'm blanking his name. Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner, who's done a bunch of shady dealing, multi-billions of dollars with the Saudis, and is one of the, like, agents of U.S. Trump Israeli engagement, you know, extremely corrupt, evil people, etc. They're all like that, whatever. All the Trump, everyone in the fucking orbit, you know, Baron Trump is going to run TikTok. And how do you remember all those names? I think it's pretty clear from watching me that I don't remember all these names, which is precisely why I do the this is why I need the live streams, man. If I was doing the offline segments, every fucking segment would be at least 90 seconds of me going I had an interview with a journalist recently, a local one here, off stream. And I felt so cool because I said I was referencing the interview that Caitlin Collins did on her podcast where she talked about the accessibility of Trump. And I said CNN's Caitlin Collins said in a recent podcast episode, and I felt so cool. I was like, oh my God, I fucking nailed that. It sounded like I have a library of information in my head. And then later I blanked for 20 seconds trying to remember the name of Taylor Swift. I don't even remember why Taylor Swift had come up in the conversation. I was drawing a comparison, but I was like, the blonde lady, she just dropped an album. She's like the biggest pop star in the world. But, you know, it all balances out.
Destiny of this nation stands out tonight. They've given everything, their time, their energy, and their hearts to building a safer, stronger future for the Jewish people. Their commitment to this country has never wavered, and it never will. We thank you. The president thanks you. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Trump is also pressuring the president of Israel to pardon Bibi. Yeah. He's done this before. It's not new.